Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Mad Capper and this is another video on Raid Shadow Legends. Today, I want to talk to you about ally attack champions, specifically two of them that came up during the most recent Fusion tier list comparison among a lot of the content creators. And I noticed that every single content creator took LONATHARIL and put him very low on their tier list, but they also had KREELA. Now, hey, what you believe an ally attack champion is worth is fine, but if you're taking two ally attack champions comparatively and putting them against each other and putting one so much lower than the other, there has to be a reason. And I don't believe that reason is just. I think it's actually flipped the other way. I think I was the only one that had him above KREELA. I think I even had him at the very beginning of a B tier, or near the beginning. Anyway, I believe he's a far superior champion to her, and I'm going to explain to why in this video. So without further ado, let's show you LONATHARIL versus KREELA. Alright, so first things first, we cannot go apples to apples. He is an HP based champion, she's an attack based champion. They're in different factions, so there's going to be differences. So what I did is I went to Hell Hades calculator and I tried to squeeze out the absolute most I could out of both champions to make it work. KREELA does have a +1, which automatically gives her a little bit of an advantage over him, but as you'll see, it doesn't really equate to a big difference. But you can see here her attack is 5659, 200 speed, 255 crit damage, 244 accuracy. She does have a stun with 35,000 health, 2700 defense. And we take a look at her masteries here, and you see that because I took her down the defense, the counterattack thing, she's an attack-based champion, so she's bound to lose some health. So this was just a good opportunity. Plus, because she's an attack champion, she hits pretty hard. And then we just went War Master because I feel like this is a champion you'd be using more in PvE, though you could definitely use her as your blender comp champion, as you could with either of them. And let's take a look at now LONATHARIL. He is an HP based champion, so a little bit different. We look at his stats. He's at 103,000 HP, 200 speed as well, 270 crit damage, because he does not need that accuracy, and that accuracy just pours right into his increased crit damage. As far as his masteries go, now he has shield, so I played down the shield world. Plus he has additional shields if it happens that one of your allies is dead, which means this is even better to have some speed there to get them really quickly to get that 30% shield. And now let's take a look at the kits. I wish I could do them a side-by-side comparison, but we can't. So here's the deal. First thing that he has that I think is really important to note is he's got ally HP in Doom Tower battles. So he's able to put an extra 35% HP on his team. I also have him with a blessing, and we went with temporal chains, which just decreases enemy speed for each active buff. It's not a big deal, but it's something that might come into handy. I didn't want anything that was too overpowering. Like to put him in Brimstone would be a definite disparate between the two of them. So and you look here, so this is the first thing he has, and that's Piercer, which inflicts 20% more damage with targets under shield buffs. It's only him though, and that's important to remember. He's not giving the whole team, which would have been a crazy good. If this was the whole team, I think it wouldn't even be close. I don't even think we'd be making this video, but because it's just him, that is something to be considered. Now here's the big thing. This is the places a 30% increased crit damage on all allies for 2 turns, then teams up with all allies to attack a single enemy. That increased crit damage directly improves the damage of your entire composition, including him and any attack-based champions or otherwise HP champions, you name it. He's going to make everyone hit stronger. When we look at KREELA, first of all, she doesn't have a passive, she doesn't have an aura, but her ally attack here attacks when enemy places a stun debuff, and then has an 80%, it's booked to 100 obviously, chance of teaming up with 3 random allies to attack a random enemy. So this is the biggest difference, and this is why I think LONATHARIL is much better, because he first of all grabs all allies. Now think of Hydra, right? Think of any PvE content. She's gonna skip a champion, and while that in itself isn't so big a deal, sometimes the champion she skips is your best A1 hitting champion, and the champion she takes along is your weakest hitting champion. So that's why this is such a big deal. Also, it's random. So great, fine against bosses, who cares? But if it's in any other escape, including the arena, this could be detrimental to your overall play. And well, I'll try to show scenarios where that's the case. Obviously, I hate doing arena videos because the enemy team, I can't control the enemy team, so to show you what's going on is sometimes a little bit more difficult, but we'll give it a try. I do use an ally attack team. I actually use KREELA, who I think is far superior to them both, because not only does he do increased crit rate, increased crit damage on all allies, and takes everyone with him, and decreases the school by 1 turn if an enemy is killed from this attack, he also has the block buff, survive on death, cleanse, fear, heals, and this, you know, and allies receive less damage from certain, like, it's just, there's so much this guy can do. Plus I have him in Brimstone, and he has an ally aura, so much better than both, obviously. And I think most people would have KREELA either very high A tier. I put him as an S tier champion myself. But I think that this might be the second best ally attack. I think he's even better than Longbeard. And the reason is quite simply because that ally attack brings extra damage with it. So we're going to try them in arena. We're going to try them in different areas, and we'll see different areas of the Doom Tower and PvE. We'll see if we can't definitively say whether I'm right or wrong on this. So let's now take a look at the first scenario, and that's going to be arena. That's, like I said, that's the one that I hate so much because you never know what these teams have going on. But let's try this here. So the team I would normally bring in is right here, and that's to give Baron 2 hits, right? Because you're gonna get the ally attack with his A1, which is a very strong hitting ability. But on top of it, now I don't know about speed, so this might fail. We're gonna have to try a couple different ones to see if we can get this to work. Because I don't want to change their speeds up too much. Because I really have them for PvE builds. But it looks like we're gonna be good here on speeds. We lock him out. That's an important part. Ooh, he's already got a fear. So now we've got this. Now keep in mind that him and KREELA are, as far as this goes, they're fair because she's going to take 3 allies. Well, there's only 4 on your team, so this isn't really a big deal. And boom, you hit the splash damage, and boom, it kills him. So very strong, very good ability there. Worked just as well as my other champion. So my other champion, KREELA. Now we come here and we replace it. Oh, that's speed. No, I need another one that I'm fat. Well, this one's pretty close to the last one, hopefully. So in quite here, you've got 1 advantage and 1 disadvantage. First of all, there's shields. This would have been better if it would have been flipped, but who'd have known, right? Who'd have understood that? Secondly, I don't know if there's anyone I can kill, but so if we go here, we're going to be able to stun it out. So there's the problem. There's I'm glad it did it. So if they would have attacked her, Mithrala, see how much health she has, then we probably would have gotten the kill because he would have splashed damage off of that and at least really probably killed Canderfon, but at least taken these other guys down. But because it's a random, suddenly there's no. Now, good thing is this comp allows Baron to have that second turn. That's why I love using that comp when I don't need a strip. But as you can see here, if you're talking from time, it's not a big difference in time. But there's number 1 example, and I'm glad it worked right away. That is the first problem with KREELA, is that she does not target with the ally attack who you're targeting. Does get the stun. Now, Mithrala didn't get stunned, and I should know better, but she was the lowest HP champion, so that was the most likely target for this. And that's kind of the first part. The second part is, and let's go back for a second to the 2 champions, and we'll take a look here. We talked about how the primary skill, but let's talk about the other skills. So the second skill that LONATHARIL has is attacks all enemies, places a shield buff on all allies for 3 turns equal to 20%, and if anyone's dead, it's 30% of this champion's max HP. His max HP is at least 100,000. You could probably push it even further if you weren't looking for damage from this champion at all, which is absolutely a smart way to build. I think originally I had him in bolster for about 115,000. So very good champion to use in both PvP and PvE for that. And then, of course, he attacks one enemy, decreases target's max HP, whatever, places a shield equal to 10% of this champion for 2 turns to the ally with lowest HP. So again, he's able to put more shields up, which just helps your team's survivability. KREELA, on the second hand, has this here. Places an increased attack buff and an increased crit rate buff on all allies for 3 turns, then attacks all enemies. Now, she's got an AoE similar to him. She's going to hit harder than him with this skill, but she's putting a crit rate and increased attack. The increased attack is only going to help attack-based champions, but it is going to help attack-based champions. But the crit rate is really not a useful skill. And I've talked about this several times before. Unless you are building a team that is used with her and only used with her, having that increased crit rate really doesn't help. Also, because typically in PvP at least, you want that ally attack first. And even in PvE, you want that ally attack when you're controlling the situation. Once the enemy goes, you don't know what's going to happen, so you want to lead with that. She needs 100% crit rate when she's using her A2. So unless you're running a cycle where you can use the A3, then the A2, you know, like you're 2-to-1ing the enemy, which is absolutely a fine way to do it in a lot of cases, you're not going to be able to make use of this on her. But over and above that, you're not going to make use of it on the rest of the team because you simply can't build, or I mean, I guess you can if you have lots of champions, but most people can't depend on this 30% increased crit rate for the rest of the team. So it's kind of a dead buff. It's on a 4-turn cooldown as well, although it is a 3-turn buff, so it's not a huge deal. And then her A1, oddly enough, places a shield buff equal to 10% of this champion's max HP on the ally with lowest. So, you know, objectively, his is so much stronger simply because now she gets extra shield. Now, I don't know how much that would make a difference. She gets the 15% extra shield there, but she has 35,000 HP. He has 100,000 HP. So 10%, it's just plain math. He just has a stronger shield. So now let's take him into let's take him into Doom Tower. So a good scenario, let's go over to hard. Let's go over to the Griffin and see if there's any discernible difference here. Because now in this case, it really doesn't matter if she only gets, you know, who she targets. Because in this case, there's only one champion to target. We don't need super raids. I don't want to run out of. All right, so let's go through this here. We're gonna take it off auto. So normally you'd do a team setup for this, but essentially I'm not worried about time here. We're just worried about behavior, and then you can speed it up in your head. So clear the first one, and then give that a shot, give it a shot, and then bop. Okay, done. So now we're on the main boss here. I want to use this first because he cleanses, so we don't want them to lose their buffs here. Again, this would all be, you'd set this all up as far as how this works. Yeah, you want to give him the big boom here, and then yeah, defense weaken. So again, we're going to use this. Good. Everyone gets a turn. We cleanse. I think at this point, you know, we can just hit auto at this point. So this is how it's going to work. Now, look, he's got a shield, and that shield's a big deal. That shield is going to block damage from the Griffin, at least so long as it doesn't get cleansed. Now, that was a bad rotation because it did get cleansed. And this is just, so there's a point to this particular team, by the way, in case you were curious. Now, keep in mind, he's actually weak affinity here. So he's already at a disadvantage simply from being a weak affinity champion to the Griffin. And still, I would say that everyone was safe for the entire thing. Now let's edit the team, and we're going to put in KREELA. And because we need to also understand that he's getting that 35% in Doom Tower. Yes, I could put Venus here instead, but I feel like it's a fair assessment to say, hey, look, we're comparing these two champions. So his advantage is her disadvantage. So we're going to put her as the lead in this particular case. And we're going to hit that. And it's going to drive me nuts. Okay, let's try that again. All right, so same thing here. We're going to Not going to burn any cooldowns. I'm actually surprised my Cupidus is faster. And she's the defense-based champion, so we always take a little extra hit on her just in case she survives. All right, same turns. Now, again, same thing. We're going to put those debuffs on him right away. We're going to increase on my turn. Going to hit. Oh, an extra turn. And then this. Boom. And we're going to use this. So we got lucky there, actually, because she actually took the 2 nukers. That could have just as easily gone the other way. Okay, let's just put that on auto now. That could have just as easily gone the other way. Now, the question is here, is her extra damage going to be better than his protection? And the answer, we'll find out. So far, because that decreased attack, it's been doing very well for us. Okay, so I mean, that kind of, again, proves the point that I'm trying to make here. Now, we got lucky. We got very lucky and we won. But we could have very easily lost because we lost our 2 nukers. You know, thankfully, we were still able to put enough damage. The smite, I think, was the big deal from Venus. Without that smite, I don't know if we would have won that. And so, as it turns out, all's well that ends well, and we could walk away. KREELA is still very good. This is a very strong way to get the ally attack in there. I probably wouldn't even bring Riho. I'd bring another nuker, maybe. But, you know, here's another point that I think goes to LONATHARIL. He was weak affinity to the Griffin, and there was no point that this team was ever going to die. And sure, with the team that I have and many endgame players have, it's never a worry on the Griffin. We have teams to get through this fairly successfully. But if you're not that strong, if you're not that high end with your artifacts and your tower and your empowerments and all that, then what? Then you have a case where this could be losses because you keep losing champions. And it's because KREELA is not you know, offering survivability to the other champions, and all she's bringing is an increased attack. Which, by the way, it's a lot easier to find increased attack, I think. There's a lot more key champions, or maybe that's just anecdotal, than there is crit damage, although a lot of the new champions are getting crit damage. So I hope that this gives you some kind of measure of understanding of, again, I just think he's a better champion. I think he did better here. He did more things. Now, the last thing we should do, and you can extrapolate that Doom Tower to anything, but I want to see actual damage, because that's the great equalizer. There's going to be you forget about how beefy he is. Okay, so here's the deal. We're going to show you damage of all 3 skills, and the reason why I have 2 other people in here is to show you the ally attack ability. So we've got all the debuffs. Unfortunately, hopefully that doesn't land before we go. Here's the ally attack here. Now keep in mind that that is putting an increased crit damage, and boom, easy kill, right? Easy kill, end battle. There you go. Everyone did damage. He did 83. That's important to note that his skill did 83. Now let's replay it. Spend all that energy, and we're gonna do this with KREELA. So we're gonna have to move him and just hit him over there. He did 69. So now her ally attack. Now, of course, you know what's gonna happen. She can pick any sort of deal, and we didn't get a kill. Why didn't we get a kill? Well, I think you noticed, and this is the big problem with KREELA. She ignored Alika. Alika is the hardest hitting A1 out of all these people. Now look at hers. She hit really strong because she gets 2 hits, right? She gets the hit on the stun and she gets to go. So big, you know, what did he do? 80? So she's getting way more damage, getting 50k more damage than him there. But she left Alika in the dust, took Venus instead, or Mountain King. Actually, Mountain King hit impressively low. But, you know, either one of those could have been left behind for Alika, and that would have probably been a kill because she gets, she can hit for way more damage. So, as far as the ally attack, I think, and maybe tell me in the comments down below if I'm wrong here, but I think we've established that his ally attack is just far superior in every facet of the game. Except she does get a stun. And against a boss level, although the stun doesn't count, you are getting more damage out of her if you're using a 4-man team. I guess you could argue for it. Or if you're fighting one person in the arena. Or if the target doesn't matter in the arena. I think that would be the other thing. If the target doesn't matter because you're using a bunch of AoE A1s, then who cares who she hits? And arguably, she'd be better in that case because she's at least stunning a person that may, you know, you stun, for example, you stun Skull Crown, and then you AoE kill everyone else. Sure, she's got the unkillable, but who cares because she's stunned. So that would be a good KREELA over LONATHARIL. But I think in every other case that's done. But let's check out the rest of the damage to tell the whole story here. First, we have to debuff the debuff. Everyone again. Oh, we don't have one. That's unfair. Oh no, we're fine because these are single. Oh no, it is an AoE. We have to. We're going to test it with this. We'll test both of them so it's apples to apples here. So his A1 here, or his A2, sorry, that's his AoE. And you see it puts those big shields. And I think that's such an important aspect that I feel isn't being counted. But nonetheless, let's now bring in her A3, which does boost and then hits. So let's see what we got here for difference in damage. So honestly, I'm actually shocked it was that low. So she's putting an increased attack and then attacking with an AoE. 35,000 extra damage. Now maybe there was a one more War Master. I don't know. I didn't see. But what I see here is you're trading 35,000 HP, but you're getting effective HP on the other side. You're getting shields worth, well, she's getting an extra 33% HP, so he's sitting at, say, 130,000, which is 13. You're getting 26,000 shields. You're getting shields that are 26,000. Which, by the way, those shields look way bigger. Oh, it's because of Mountain King's. Never mind. Shield set. I was wondering why those shields were so big looking, but you're getting those 26,000 HP shields on all champions, or you're getting 35,000 different damage. I would say the secondary skill, the non-ally attack skill, again, I have to say goes to LONATHARIL. And I don't think anyone can change my mind on that. Last thing here, let's check the A1s. I feel like this is pretty definitive. I truly do. So here's LONATHARIL 67. Let's see her, same champion, 67. Let's see, Alika, yeah, 93.56. And we'll put him over here just for giggles, 72. So, he did more damage than her on her A1. Now, maybe that was a War Master proc. I don't think it was. I don't think he got a War Master proc. I don't think either of them did. So, yeah, I don't see a scenario where she's better. Let's go to final thoughts on this duel, and we'll talk about what I feel about it. All right, my final thoughts here. I believe that through what we showed, LONATHARIL is better in every facet of the game than KREELA. He is a stronger champion, he's a more well-rounded champion, and he's more usable in more scenarios. The advantages he has is the 30% crit damage. That helps anyone and everyone regardless of what type. They could be a defense, HP, or attack champion, and that crit damage is going to improve their overall damage significantly. And number 2, he's using all allies on your team to attack. And that's not just 4 allies. He's using all allies, which means Hydra. He's going to use 2 more allies than KREELA. In every other PvE content, he's going to use 1 more ally than KREELA. And also, equally important, KREELA can not only use 1 less ally, but as we saw, can pick the worst possible choice, right? In that case, she picked Venus instead of Alika as her ally attack buddy and didn't get a kill. And, she stunned one, attacked another, and neither of them died. So Whereas him, he just, whoever we picked is the one that died, and they died. And I think that's a big deal. On top of it, A2s. She got an average of 35,000 more damage. And that, keep in mind, that's because she has an increased attack. The increased attack is not on the ally attack. And I think that's an important distinction, because you could argue, well, he gets the 30% crit damage, but she gets the 50% attack. And if you just build around that, then she's perfectly fine. But it's not on the same skill. So then with her, you have to get 2 turns to make that useful for you. Or, I mean, and overall, hey, any buff is useful, but on the actual ally attack, it's not there unless you use ally attack on the second turn, which does limit what you can do a little bit. The flip side, LONATHARIL, who only hit for the actual AoE damage for 35,000 less, puts a shield on the entire team for what did we figure? Because we had an HP lead, I think it was like 26,000 shield. Well, that's effective HP. That's 2/3 of KREELA's health as a shield over and above her. So the survivability of your nuking champions, the survivability of your whole team is increased. And I think the trade-off, in my mind, is it's a no-brainer. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown. This is a 4-turn cooldown. And we'll come up with that in a minute. And then the last thing is the shield, or the next thing is the A1s. They have identical A1s, except for he also decreases the target's max HP and puts a shield equal to his HP, versus KREELA, who does it just the shield equal to her HP, and of course his HP is going to be better. On top of that, though we didn't really showcase it, he does 20% more damage against targets under shield buffs, which is another good thing for him. So all these are in his favor. The last thing that's in his favor is the versatility. If you don't need his damage, but you need his survivability, you can forego all of the damage and just beef up his HP. You could probably get him to 130,000 HP. You put HP gloves instead of crit damage. You focus HP on all stats. I don't even know how, maybe you go 140. I never actually tried to see how strong a champion you can build him out as far as if you just focused HP. But then you're just making more survivable. You're still getting those buffs. You're still getting the ally attack. You can still bring nukers in for the actual killing. And all he's doing is giving you these big-ass survivable shields. And I think that's a big deal. Also, we didn't mention the fact that if you have anyone dead, it's 30%. So your nuker dies, your Arbiter's half health, but he throws a whopping 30% on the Arbiter to make sure she lives to revive. Like, that's the kind of scenario where it's even better. Now, we do have to give some props to KREELA, because there are a couple of good things. I don't think they're enough to make her better than him, but in all fairness. So first off, we talk about the stun. So she has a stun, and there are scenarios where that stun can come very handy. I think specifically Arena. If you're fighting any champion with Swift Parry, and you know that champion has Swift Parry, or with the inherent Swift Parry, your Leorius and your Skull Crown, she can, so long as she has enough accuracy, she can stun the target champion that's an issue, and then use the ally attack like a blender to kill the team. They don't die, but who cares? They're stunned, and so it's an easy win. Whereas he doesn't put the shield up on the ally attack, so you're still sitting there a little bit vulnerable. He does have 100,000 HP, so maybe he's survivable, but you're still inviting a potential for issue where she doesn't. The other thing, and I think this is important to note, is it's a 3-turn cooldown. So on boss fights that last a long time, and I'm not even the Doom Tower, maybe you get 2 or 3 rounds. Maybe she gets an extra ally attack round than him. Probably they both get an extra ally attack. Maybe she gets 2 extra. So you could marginally there, although he's bringing an extra ally each time. So that, it's hard to say what would be better. There's so many scenarios. Who did she take as the ally attack for the damage, etc., etc. But you do have to say, hey, 3-turn cooldown, big deal when you're doing. So, for example, if you wanted to bring either of them into the clan boss, I think for clan boss, KREELA might have the advantage there, even though the stun's irrelevant. She is getting more. She's getting this cooldown quicker, a turn quicker, which over 50 turns or more could potentially swing in her favor. especially. Although I will say I was shocked that she didn't do more damage, but you got to keep in mind she only has 1200 attack, 1244. So getting her to over 6k attack and still getting her accuracy, very tough. But in the clan boss, you don't need that accuracy because you don't need the stuns irrelevant. So I think in that case, she would really help you out. As to which one would do better, that's more than we're going to test in the scope here. So the 3-turn cooldown is a big deal in long sustained fights. And that's the scenario where KREELA has the definitive advantage. And I think most importantly for KREELA, because of faction wars and a 3-turn cooldown, I think that's an area that she definitely has the advantage over him. They're both pretty easy bosses, but I will say that I think one's got the freeze, so High Elves has that freeze mechanic, which is annoying, and I think this one has the health swap, is it, on orcs? So definitely in that particular case, KREELA's just the ability for KREELA to get that ally attack better is going to be better in faction wars. Not to mention the fact that you're probably going to have an Arbiter and a Royal Guard by the time you're doing faction wars. I know not everyone does. Massive, if you remember Massive Attack, didn't have a Royal Guard forever, but so there are scenarios where she's better. But I think overall, if I had to pick one of the two, if I had 2 ally attacks, I wanted an ally attack, these are the 2 champions I had. I just think that the pros of LONATHARIL, I keep telling his name differently, LONATHARIL, his pros far outweigh the cons versus KREELA. I think he's just overall a better, more well-rounded, more suited champion to build today. So why is it that everyone thinks that KREELA is better? Again, this is a case where you got KREELA first. She's been in the game for several years now. When she came into the game, there was Longbeard. Then there was like Catacomb Counselor, I think it was. I can't even remember if Lanacus, who I don't remember if Lanacus was in the game yet. But again, Lanacus has this increased attack, then an ally, but it teams up with 3 random allies. So keep again, same thing. It's only 3, but also increases the duration. So I don't know. I think LONATHARIL would even be better than Lanacus. But KREELA was early on. I'm pretty sure she was before Lanacus. I'm positive she was before anyone else. I think your other option, if you were trying to be next level, was Catacomb, who teamed up with 3 random allies. So there were options out there, but they were far and few between. By the time LONATHARIL comes in, there's Lanacus added. There's Cardiel, who's the best of them all, in my opinion, added. There's Farrakhan, who has an argument. He doesn't use himself to attack, but in all these scenarios, LONATHARIL still holds and shines true. The only one who I would argue is better is Cardiel, because he does also team up with all allies, not a number of allies, but all allies. And he's got the rest of his kit is so much better. So I think that it's this enforcement of when you got KREELA, it was a positive experience for you because you may not have had. She was my first legitimate ally attack champion on my account because I didn't have Longbeard for a long time. And when you needed 2 ally attack for speedruns in Doom Tower, positive enforcement. Oh my god, I have KREELA, I can do it. And by the time LONATHARIL comes in, you've already got all these other champions. And so it's a lot less impactful. But the reality is, and I hope this video has shown it, he's just a better champion than she is. So those are my final thoughts. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Is there something I'm missing? Is there some scenario that you're like, no, you're wrong because of this? Let me know, like I said, in the comments down below. I'd be happy and love to hear your thoughts on them. But that's all I have for you today. So please be kind, be safe. We'll see you in the next video.